My name is Amber Rudman. I'm a senior now in 12th grade, and I go to David Posnack Jewish Day School. I started thinking about the SAT and went to take my first one because I knew that I was always gonna probably take it like multiple times. So I wanted to start early. So I signed up for Piece of Pie the first time for math my second semester of sophomore year. And I just knew that I needed to do piece of pie for test prep since my sister had done it and she ended with a 1450, which was like a great score and like one that I wanted to. Yeah, and everyone like in my community and like around me just does piece of pie. So like from the start, my parents like made sure. Well, I was always better at English in school too. And with every practice test, like I always just naturally did better in English. And when I had before I had even studied for either, just my English score was always higher. But I do enjoy math more. So I also did the piece of pie English, which was like incredible. Because a lot of times, like you think that you know the rules of English and like the grammar and the vocab, but with the piece of pie like sessions, they really just go like into detail and like in depth, and it's like they teach you why that comma is there, and then now you like learn to recognize that within the questions. So my goal was always to get 100% bright futures. That's something that like my parents like really wanted for like me and like my siblings. So like with the test score, obviously like I would be able to get that, and I really wanted to stay in state for like college. So now like with my score that I got being like a 1480, I now fall within like all the ranges pretty much for like every Florida
Mhm.
university for with like University of Miami, like University of Florida, Florida State, UCF, like all those. So, University of Florida, hopefully. The test is obviously like, especially as a sophomore, like you hear like, okay, you're gonna start testing junior year. So it definitely like gets in your head. With the math, I did piece of pie twice for the math. I did it the first time and it really gave me like like a very solid foundation of just all the math that's going to be covered. Then I took my test. I didn't perform as well as I wanted to, and that was definitely more like a mental thing. And then when I did piece of pie for the second time, it's like as I was going to the Zooms that set during that second time I did the piece of pie meetings, it was just such like a solid like reinforcement of everything. And then like that, I got my math score that I wanted. I did piece of pie one time with the reading, and it helped me like so much because with the grammar, it like the things that you think like where you think you should put a comma like actually just isn't correct, and like how I remember specifically learning that how everything in between the commas you can kind of just eliminate.
On a
And
simple
when you're reading
closet.
the questions on, yeah, like when you're reading the questions on the SAT and it's like seems like a huge paragraph, like there's actually sentences that you can just kind of like skip over because they're in between the commas. It made the whole like testing experience so much easier. And it's kind of like little like tips and like tricks like that that just make the test like so much less stressful. At first, I wasn't sure. Like, I was a little scared only because I'm someone who like asks a lot of questions, and I wasn't sure how like comfortable like the Zoom would be to like, taking questions like from like students in the Zoom. And I was worried about like the pace, like if it would be too slow or too fast. But the second I joined, like the first time, everything was just seemed like so calm and like so like welcoming. And like I did not feel afraid at all to ask any questions. If we had to spend more time on one question than another, it didn't feel like, I was being like a burden or like annoying. And like I realized that like if I asked a question, like another student in my same breakout room had the same question. So it would be like kind of like a good thing that I asked. And yeah, everything was just super comfortable. I think like it just depends on how badly you want it. So like a lot of times like like students like their parents will just kind of like force them to take these like prep courses and like they're not really in it. But at least like for me this like SAT is something that I knew like I would just like tackle and like do what I have to do. And the 4 hour Zooms like they sound bad, but they're just not bad. Like really, like it's so worth it, and not you're not like wasting your time. Like it's an investment to like spend that many hours um at once just doing like the math or the English, like whichever and you feel accomplished at the end of each Zoom, like, okay, like I just got this down, like next week, like I'll do my assignments. Like it's almost like a challenge, kind of like a game. And I like found the fun in it. So it's definitely difficult, especially with junior year. Um, a lot of sacrificing for sure, but it's like in order to get the score that you want, like you have to do what you have to do. And the assignments, I would say, like, are very, like, a lot, but all just worth it. Like, if you just do your homework and I love how Piece of Pie, like, lets you create your own sort of schedule. And, if something comes up and like you just can't get your homework done that day, like just shoot a quick text saying you'll get it done the next day. Like everyone's super like accommodating and understanding. And like, if you happen to not do your homework that day and they'll follow up with you and be like, "Hey, like where's your homework?" Like something like that I think is so like good to like push the students and get them to like because sometimes not everyone has like that like inner motivation. So to
Mhm.
have like someone who's making sure that you're doing the assignments, I think that really, really helps. If I was recommending Piece of Pie to like another student, I would definitely say to do it if they really want to do it for themselves, not just do it because they feel like they have to or for their parents. Like, if you want that score and you join Piece of Pie, like, you will get the score that you want depending on how much effort you're willing to put in because Piece of Pie gives you all the resources. It's just all about, how much of the resources like you want to take advantage of. For my score, I think what contributed the most of the ways that Piece of Pie works, I think definitely after Piece of Pie has you do like a practice test one week and then you go over what you did wrong, and Piece of Pie gives you like the tutorials on how to like do it exactly and just going through everything you got wrong and even what you got right on by guessing. Like still, I think that the SAT like obviously like formats each test like very similarly. So that definitely helped me like recognizing like, okay, when I get this question, what do I do? And just with that recognition, like I think that was very, very helpful. So I took my first SAT in June of 2024 and I got a 560 in math and a 620 in English. And then a full year later, my final score, I took it in June of 2025, and I got a 740 English and a 740 in math. So an even split. And yeah, I just improved significantly in both. And like it's all because of Piece of Pie. So I was able to get 100% bright futures with my final score. And also just a score like that you're like content with really can like really boosted my confidence a lot. Knowing that like I have that score under my belt, knowing that I now fall within the ranges for all these like universities like that I apply to and that I want to go to, like just changes your mood completely and makes you feel so accomplished. And like I'm just super proud of myself. And I know that I couldn't have gotten that score without doing all those assignments, those 4 hour Zooms, those practice tests pretty much every week. and just like especially that final stretch, like the week before the actual exam, and you're going over absolutely everything that like you kind of struggle on, like all of that I think contributed like insanely to my score. Well, I think everything of with all the material is just great. I wouldn't change anything about the material. Um, Maybe this might be like a little like I'm not sure if this applies to everyone, but at least for me, like I didn't do like what I would consider good on my first exam. And I think that that was because I was just very, very stressed. And I know that the SAT is something to definitely like stress about. But I think maybe like, if the teachers can maybe like towards, the final stretch week, remind the students that it's like not the end of the world and just kind of do like a little like breather moment and just like not hype it up so much because like
Hmm.
everyone tells you like, oh, you're gonna do fine, you're gonna do great, but to maybe help the students get like into a little bit of like a better mindset, I think
Interesting.
that that would like help a lot.